Now tell us about the importance of the event we're having on Tuesday in the city of Elizabeth.
Well, we have, since we've released the comprehensive restoration plan, and I have to show it on the screen because it's so nice and pretty and glossy, but we have, I mean, nobody can get that excited except for me about a plan, but we have, there's 2 chapters of this plan, and what this is supposed to be is the blueprint for future restoration in the harbor. And so we have been going to each of the 8 planning regions to do outreach, to really try to touch the municipalities and the people that live there in the communities. And so we've done 5 outreach meetings so far. We just did one last week at the Hudson River, Lower Hudson River, and we combined it with this restoration conference with the Harbor Estuary Program. And so we had a great turnout, but now we're doing this planning region, and we have 2 more to go. And once we're done with all 8 planning regions and obtain all of our feedback from the communities and all of our partners, then we're going to revise this document. And one of the aspects that is this plan is that it's a consensus vision, and so it's really important that we have everybody's input, and so that when we revise this document, it really does reflect everybody's input and capture all of the initiatives that are going on.
And how many people actually got involved in this, Lisa, in the beginning in drafting this plan? There's a lot of stakeholders.
There are,
and I'm sure you don't know them all.
Well, I think it was like the second page, it lists the laundry list, and there's over 60 organizations that participated. And not only the federal and state and local agencies that are involved in restoration in the region, but trying to touch every NGO and local community advocacies as well to be a part of this plan. And so there was a lot of workshops and outreach that occurred to figure out, well, what are we trying to restore, what's important to you, and what are we, making sure that we've also highlighted their programs in here.
Now, in that plan, Lisa, is the biggest challenge in our estuary balancing the commerce and restoration?
Yes, it definitely is. And historically, it's been mainly focused on the economics of the region, because of course we have the port here, and that is a huge economic engine and bringing in commerce and all of our goods, which brings in our tax revenues and our all of the ratables and financial benefits that the port provides. And I was going to talk about this balance, exactly where we've got this world-class harbor estuary. That is our goal. And so we focus on the navigation port component, which incorporates the Corps' mission in the States to keep the harbor open, keep it dredged. And I mentioned before that we have a 50-foot deepening program, and that is bringing in the larger ships to our region and then to also supply, over 230,000 jobs in the region. And I believe it was a couple of $2 billion in state and local revenue. But as well, to balance that with the ecological viability of the port. The focus in the past has really been on that port commerce focus, but now we're balancing that, and the Corps has recently, I guess it was probably more than 10 years ago, had an ecosystem mission. And so now we've really been able to focus on our ecosystem restoration programs to balance this environmental ring, which at the very top is the Hudson Raritan Comprehensive Plan, which is the umbrella program with all of our other ecosystem restoration projects. We recently added this 3rd ring, which is public safety. So basically to protect our infrastructure, to deal with hurricane protection, flood risk reduction programs, storm preparedness, and as well as planning for sea level rise. That's a really big deal right now, where all the agencies are moving forward.
In all of this, is not our estuary one of the targeted ones for the Army Corps of Engineers nationwide?
Yeah, for one, we're from an estuary perspective or a harbor perspective, we're the largest port on the East Coast, and we're the 3rd largest in the United States. So that is really important from an economic standpoint. And when we look at the Corps program holistically, we look at our, how we rank among the rest of the region. And what's happening with the restoration program, I'm really happy to say, is our headquarters and other regions, other districts all over the United States are using our Hudson Raritan Estuary Restoration Program as the model to move forward. And so I've been at conferences lately where they've said, and actually someone asked a question, I live in New Orleans, and how can I get restoration funding to my area? We only ever get funding when there's a catastrophe, and we have to do that. And he said, you need one plan. You need, and I was holding up the plan in the front row, and to basically, really highlight that everybody is behind a plan.
Has that plan been released yet, or is it still in draft form? No, it's released.
Yeah, it's been released, and so it was released, time flies, March 2009, so it's really been a while. But in December, the Harbor Estuary Program, all the agencies and NGOs basically said, we are adopting this as our future plan for the harbor, for restoring it, and then going through our detailed public outreach, because then once we revise this plan, we want to do one more print job, and then the rest of it will be live on the internet. I mean, it's obviously a living document. So as new projects come
So it's going to evolve.
It's going to totally evolve. As projects get implemented, as the state of the science improves, it's constantly evolving.
Lisa, we're going to take a short break, come back, and we're going to talk about why the estuary is so important for the future.
Thank you.
Please stay with us after these messages. We'll be back with more with Lisa Barron about the estuary here in the City of Elizabeth.